Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Movable Block Entity series, where we show contraptions that would become possible if movable block entities would be added to the Java version of the game. They're already part of Bedrock Edition, but they're not added to Java yet, so we're using a mod to showcase those contraptions. So initially the plan was to release an episode every week, but it's been a while since I released the last one. Here's just a quick explanation what happened. We have the second lockdown since November in Germany, and pretty much the same happened as during the first lockdown. I got a bit demotivated and wasn't spending as much time on playing Minecraft and producing Minecraft content anymore, only around 35 to 40 hours a week. And most of the time was spent on focusing on the peaceful challenge lately, so streaming, working in creative, playing in survival, producing video content. So I didn't have a lot of time for other Redstone projects. Most of my additional spare time that I had was actually spent playing CSGO. So I also got good news. I got up to Master Guardian Elite. But yeah, let's try to release a video about movable block entities every week from now on again. In today's episode, we want to discuss if movable dispensers with bone meal inside could be used in combination with the new moss mechanic to make a perimeter. So the new mechanic is that if you bone meal moss, it would convert nearby blocks into moss blocks as well. And those moss blocks can easily be punched out by just pushing a block inside. So you can't move the moss block itself, but it's really easy to remove. And yeah, we can convert the stone. Instead of blowing up the stone, you can just convert it into moss and punch it out. And yeah, if you make a flying machine, somehow make a perimeter using that mechanic. So in today's episode, we'll discuss possible issues, such a concept, and try to make some smaller proof of concept flying machines that would work with some hand-picked formations. There's probably a lot of issues that would arise. For example, there's also other blocks in there. They can't be converted, like ores. We need to deal with those somehow as well. And also ravines, etc. could be an issue. A moss-based perimeter making machine would especially be interesting for the case that TNT tubing might be removed, because in general it's definitely easier to get bone meal compared to TNT, and this would be especially interesting in that case for the peaceful mode, where you can't even insta-mine stone because you don't have access to haste 2, to require beacon, which you can only get from killing a wizard, which doesn't exist in peaceful. So this would be very interesting. So first, let's actually check how many blocks we couldn't convert. So here, just cloned out one sub-chunk, so 16 by 16 blocks, so that's 4096. And we're just gonna remove all the blocks that could be converted. So first, stone. Okay, we got gravel that's falling down. That can also be converted, but should have actually removed the gravel first. Let's do that now. Gravel is also now gone. Then we can also remove granite, diorite, and andesite. Even dirt can also be removed. And then we only got the leftover blocks. So basically a machine would leave all the ores. Now, the ores aren't really too interesting if you're that advanced that you can make a huge flying machine to get a perimeter, but it might still be nice to get, for example, gold ore or other ores, especially in peaceful mode. Copper by now is also renewable, so I'm not sure how interesting mining those ores would be, but they would be an obstacle. Actually, I cloned out part of an extreme hills biome, so that infested stone also couldn't be converted, as far as I know. I've never tried it. It's actually... See, yeah, that can't be converted. Also a nice check to see if a block is infested. So let's start with a simple flying machine first that can convert and remove just a simple line of stone. So we would need the dispenser that is getting pushed at the side of the moss block. Can't be above, because one of the requirements of the moss spreading is there's an air block above the moss block. So this wouldn't work here. So we have to push the dispenser right next to it and bone meal it from there, which also means we couldn't have a slime block the side of the dispenser. It needs to be above, otherwise it would stick to the blocks below that could be potentially there. Okay, then we just need an observer to power that dispenser at each step, and now we can already try to push this forward. So this should work. Okay, yeah, it spreads to the next block. Okay, but then we already have one issue. It sometimes generates this moss carpet above the moss block. And this is not an air block. We need to get rid of that. So we could, for example, add a piston here that punches down. So let's just add another observer. By the way, the dispenser has 4 ticks of delay, so that gives the piston enough time to extend and retract before the dispenser would actually fire. Okay, let's try that out. So we first punch out the moss carpet, then the moss block is also removed, then we try to spread this further. Yeah, there we go. So this is working. Maybe let's extend the line and add a little engine in the back. Let's see how it goes. Okay, just gonna add pistons here. Then observer on the side maybe. And an observer in the back. There we go. So this way you could get rid of a line of stone blocks quite easily. Just need to spend some bone meal. But in case we would try this with an actual landscape, we would very soon run into the first issues. There are blocks that can't be converted. So for example, or what are we gonna do there? Because this could actually prevent the moss spreading. So the moss spreading is only guaranteed in the 3x3 area around the moss block. So all of those 8 blocks are guaranteed to be converted. But if you would have the ore here, so it could, for example, happen that we bone meal this moss block, then it spreads to the next one. Then we bone meal this again, but it would never reach the stone block over here. So we punch out the last moss block, and then even the ore is also in the way, so we would need to get rid of it. One idea would be that we try to pull it up. So yeah, this way we could also deal with the ore block. Let's see if such a pulling system would be viable. So the idea would be that we pull up all the ores and the player later can mine those by hand, and they would also be out of the way. Okay, so we would need to push forward the part at the bottom first. And then the part at the top. So we pull up the ore block. Let's see. There we go. But obviously the ore would be in the way. That's why I already added multiple other pistons to it. But I think we're gonna have an issue with this piston trying to punch out or push forward the ore. Let's actually see what happens. Alright. Yeah, it would push it forward, and the next step would actually get pushed down again. Yeah, there's a bit of a problem here. I was thinking a lot how we could actually solve our issues with the ore here, but I pretty much came to the conclusion that it might be better if we change the way we actually gonna approach this. So instead of pulling the ores out and somehow mining them later, let's just mine the ores before. So we end up in a position where we don't have the ores in between anymore. I mean, it's the same amount of effort, but we don't have gaps in between the stone, which would be something we have anyway, if there are any ravines or caves in between. That's kind of a problem, because we always need a moss to actually get started. So we would have a new problem. We would always need to place one moss block after every gap, which also would be quite tedious, to be honest. But we could maybe produce more stone and fill up the gaps in between after we mined all of the ores. So I thought about how we could actually achieve this, to push in stone between the gaps. So the obvious idea would be to make some kind of smooth stone generator. It would be quite easy to make one that just generates a line of stone. Then we push this down and all the gaps would be filled. But then we have the next issue. We would also push down stone here and have some leftover stone that we kind of need to get rid of. And yeah, that would be a problem. So we need to make some kind of system that would only generate stone if there's a gap. So this might be a bit tricky, and we need to come up with something smart to achieve that. Might be best if we maybe do that in one of the next episodes. Alright, so it's a bit unsatisfying that we stop here, but maybe let's actually do something nice to watch. Let's try to remove a whole platform of just stone and make a larger flying machine. This would be nice to watch. Okay, here we go. So here we only have a dispenser every second block. Technically, now to think about it, every third block would also have been enough. But anyway, let's just launch this. It's probably fun to watch. So the whole stone platform, yeah, gets converted into moss and punched out. It's pretty fun. Here we can also see one issue we would create with this system: a lot of item lag, especially larger scale. Definitely something that needs to be considered. With the world there we don't have the issue because, well, TNT also blows up the items. Okay, it is actually quite fun.